I didn't really realize, wait a minute, the reason why I'm so, like the level that I'm at in whatever I do is my parents. I just look back and that's all I saw. I just saw them working hard at work, working hard at home. My mom, she'd be doing interior decorating and, and gardening outside. And like our house was like this massive, amazing, beautiful place, but still working hard, still going to practice, right? Not just playing, but practice. They would practice, and then my dad was coaching, and it was amazing to see. And that's all I saw, like I said, was trophies coming back and medals and trophies. And I just, I think that just instilled that hard work right inside of me, specifically when it came to sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, guys, to another amazing and very, very exciting episode today of the Superhuman Life. As always, I'm your host, Frank Rich. And guys, first off, I just want to tell you how incredibly grateful I am to have you here with me today. Men, today, do we have a conversation you must hear? Guys, we all know the hormone that makes us men. We all know the most important hormone that is running through our body. It gets a bad rap nowadays, but we're gonna debunk, we're gonna demyth a lot of that false belief and false narrative around this hormone known as testosterone. Guys, I have an amazing individual, somebody that's been a brother of mine, and I'm so glad to have been reconnected with him over these last few weeks, and just incredibly blown away by the work that he's doing, the impact that he's having out there in the world. So as you guys may have seen in the title for today, this week, if you're hearing this as the episode airs on a launch date, we're going live on the 15th of November. November 17th, guys, this week, just here in 2 days, is the first ever National Testosterone Day. And I have the guest on here that is responsible for making this a day that we need to recognize, a day that we need to be aware about. So I'm talking about Funk Roberts, guys. You may be familiar, you may not be familiar. At 52 years old, though, Funk Roberts is the owner of Funk Roberts Fitness in the over 40 Alpha Brotherhood and Fuck Supplements. Now, his mission is to help over 1 million men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond regain their manhood, boost testosterone, build their best body, and live a happy and healthy, productive life. Now, as Funk turned 40 years old, he struggled with having low T, being overweight, having a puffy, pudge muscle look, that kind of dad bod that is getting some coverage today. It's not a good look, guys. It's not a healthy look. After doing a ton of research, trial and error, and putting things into action, Funk has developed a training and lifestyle system for men over the age of 40 who want to get in the best shape of their life. And guys, he has over 10,000 active men in his over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. Guys, 10,000 active men all following him on a weekly basis, listening to what he has to say, following his workouts, paying attention to his meal plans, so forth and so forth. So we unpacked, his early entry into fitness. I always like to kind of get underneath the individual, add some context to the person that we are sharing. But Funk is an accomplished athlete, professional volleyball player, traveled the world up until the age of 30, then got into some MMA, some Kung Fu. Still today, he plays a role in the UFC with training some of their athletes. Just a highly accomplished individual, a wealth of knowledge in terms of male optimization, hormone optimization in the natural way. So we unpack a lot of that, and then we give you guys some practical tips. What are some of the first steps that you can take? What are some of the things you need to start paying attention to? And then we give you an amazing offer here at the end if you want to maybe get involved with the over 40 Alpha Brotherhood out there. So guys, today is all about optimizing male hormones. It's about recognizing and honoring this National Testosterone Day. So as you guys are listening to this, start thinking about the men in your life that maybe need to hear this conversation, because one thing we want to do is we want to make testosterone an important conversation. It's not a bad thing. There's nothing negative about it. It is the fuel. It is what makes us men. It is crucial to our vitality. It is crucial to our health. It is crucial to our longevity. It is crucial to our energy. So let's start making this conversation an important one that we're having in our homes, in our own lives. But it starts with what we do first in ourselves, men. So as you guys are listening to this, we're going to give you a lot of practical tips, a lot of takeaways, and then what you can do after hearing today's conversation. But as always, guys, if you're getting value out of these conversations, you can help us continue to grow and support this mission in one of two ways. First off, if you haven't done so yet and you are a regular listener and you've been getting value out of these conversations, I do have a small ask. can you take a couple minutes and leave us a 5-star rating and written review? We just hit 100 reviews right there on Apple Podcasts. This is the currency, guys. This is what tells Apple that these podcasts are valuable. This is what's going to help them know that more people need to be exposed to this in an organic fashion. And then secondly, guys, like I said, if there's somebody in your life that needs to hear today's conversation, maybe they're struggling with some low energy. Maybe they got that little pooch belly that, that we all struggle with at some point in our lives. We break down what are the steps they need to take. So let's get into today's conversation, guys, with the legend himself, Funk Roberts of Over 40 Alpha, talking male optimization hormones and celebrating and recognizing National Testosterone Day. We love you guys. Hope you enjoy the conversation today. We'll see you on the other side. Funk, my brother, welcome to the Superhuman Life.
Man, thank you so much for having me here, Frank. Great to see you again. Great to, to talk to you again, and great to be on the podcast. I really appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to, catching up here a little bit, just you and I personally, but then, really diving into, I think some of the work that you're doing now for men in that kind of over 40 category. So, demographics, when you kind of look at our, listeners here, we're about 80% male, and it's right in that, 35, 30 on the low end up to, 50, 55. So right in your wheelhouse, man, with everything that you're talking about. And, today's, main topic, this testosterone hormone, I think, it sits at the core of every single man. I mean, it's what makes us men. And, I know you probably have a lot of stats here, but, we're living in a time, I think I saw something where like the average 30-year-old today has testosterone levels of a 60-year-old just a half century ago. So I want to get into some of your story and whatnot, but yeah, let's start there. Let's start with Funk, in fitness. I'm looking at you here, and, people are going to see the video. You look like you're, 24, 25 years old, but we know that's, you're a little bit older than that. Yeah. So yeah, what you kind of tell us, Funk, let's kind of maybe take it back to kind of like your entry into health and fitness. What did all that look like? And then I know, you played some pro volleyball, you've done some MMA fighting, you're still actively training people. So yeah, let's kind of start back with, what led you into fitness way back in the day, and then we'll kind of let that be our kicking off point here today.
Sure. Yeah. So again, thanks so much. Yeah. I'm 52 years old, and, fitness was always part of my life. My parents were amazing role models. They didn't really say too much. They just did. They dominated. They played badminton, then they played tennis, and every single day they came home from a tournament or whatever, they brought trophies home, right? So I always saw high level. Like, my parents were working. My dad worked 2 jobs. They would come home, they would cook, they would clean. Then they would go practice, and then they would go dominate, and they come back, and it was just something that I grew up with. And so, my fitness journey started, I was 11 years old. I grew up in a place where all of us guys wanted to be jacked, even at 11 years old. So my parents bought me the Weider weight set with the sand in the side. Mm-hmm. You put it together, and literally I was just bicep curls after bicep curls after bicep curls. But buying all the magazines and really getting intrigued with all the bodies, and at that point too, I started to play a lot of sports. So I was playing all kinds of sports: baseball, football, basketball, you name it, I was playing it. And then when I got to high school, volleyball really took over. I was a football player and a quarterback, but the school I went to didn't have football. They were a rugby school. So I just said, let me just play volleyball. And that really springboarded me into one of the things that I learned very early is I always want to be the best. I always want to train to be the best that I can be, and no matter what I do, the best for me, right? So the best for me, I'm always going to try to reach the pinnacle. But so in volleyball, that's what it was. I trained hard. I asked for help. And from there, I was high level in high school, university, and then I played pro indoor and on the beach. So I played all over the world on the beach, representing Canada. I'm from Canada, by the way. And but throughout that whole time, I was always jacked. Like, I was the jacked volleyball player. Volleyball players are tall and skinny. They're not. I'm 5'11", and they're not jacked generally. But that's what I was. I was always jacked, and that was kind of like my thing. And I would always train on some of the other fighters too, because I was doing a lot of plyometrics, being 5'11", being really short. I'm going up against guys who are 6'5", 6'6" at that time. So I needed to do extra stuff, right? What are the extra things that are going to get to allow me to compete with these guys? So, I was always training everybody, and my pro career was great. I loved it, played at a very high level, got to travel, got to meet people, and really live that pro athlete lifestyle. Even though it's not hockey, basketball, or football, in whatever sport you're in, and you're a professional athlete in that sport, you feel like you're a $1 million athlete. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think anytime your occupation includes the word play, like you're set up to have a good time.
Absolutely.
One thing you said right there at the beginning that just, it just hit me when you said it, and I hope the audience picked up, and it's why I want to zero in here a little bit, is you talked about the parents' upbringing, and it wasn't the things that they said, it was the example at the way that they were showing up in living. So if you can maybe speak a little bit more to that, because I know there's going to be a large amount of men here. Maybe they didn't grow up with that. Parents weren't the greatest examples. So is there anything that they can do to maybe kind of shift and begin to get into some of more of these mindsets and talk a little bit more about kind of what that was like to be able to witness and experience pursuing greatness, seeking peak performance, because it's something that is, we talk a lot about it on the podcast here, but if you haven't experienced and lived in it, you're maybe not around those right type of people, you don't understand what it's like to be around that type of mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't something that they said, like you said, and I didn't really pick up on that until I was older. I didn't really realize, wait a minute, the reason why I'm so like the level that I'm at in whatever I do is my parents. I just look back and that's all I saw. I just saw them working hard at work, working hard at home. My mom, she'd be doing interior decorating and gardening outside. And like our house was like this massive, amazing, beautiful place, but still working hard, still going to practice, right? Not just playing, but practice. They would practice. And then my dad was coaching, and it was amazing to see. And that's all I saw, like I said, was trophies coming back and medals and trophies. And I just, I think that just instilled that hard work right inside of me, specifically when it came to sports. It was just the hard work, even at school, but really in sports, I really wanted to shine. I'm Aries too, and when I was growing up, I had a little bit of an identity I guess not crisis, but obviously when you're in high school, you're still trying to figure out your identity. But I lived in the hood when I was like up to grade 8. Then right from there. So I went to all black school, very, very, very tough, rough school. Right from there, I went, because my parents moved, I moved into a Jewish area. I went to Thornley, which was a Jewish school. So now I'm going to school where everyone's preppy and everyone's, white and everyone is driving BMWs at 16. And then right from there, so obviously I kind of, morphed into the preppy guy, that sort of thing. And then right from there, the next year, I moved to Dumbarton High School, which was more farmers, more, just the sticks, right? There was nothing there. And so I was lost in regards to who I was, and I was just trying to still figure that out. But one of the things that I did think about was like, listen, I'm a black man, and yes, if I play basketball, I'm just another black guy playing basketball. If I play football, I'm just another black guy playing football. I want to play the sports where we don't generally dominate, and I want to dominate those sports. So volleyball and, just lacrosse and rugby and just all of these things. But volleyball was the biggest thing for me, not just because of that, but also the lifestyle. You're playing beach volleyball. It's 2 people on a beach. You're traveling to beaches all over California, Florida, and everywhere else. And, I really like that. But my parents definitely, they instilled that hard work ethic, both at work, at home, and, during sports. And I think I just picked that up right away. Do
you think that also maybe, has something to do with, you've accomplished, a significant amount in your life. And we're going to get into, your multiple businesses that you're running, the supplement, the over 40 shred and all of this. These are massively successful, companies in the online fitness space. And I got to imagine as well, like, you're saying you're 5'11", not your typical, beach volleyball physique. Was there, were there people telling you back then? And I'm sure you've seen this multiple times throughout your life, like, Funk, what are you trying this for? You're not cut out for this. This is not you. So kind of the haters, the naysayers, like, was the upbringing like helped you, block some of that stuff out? It's, knowing that if I give my all, like, it's the hard work is going to be there, but if I stay consistent, I can consistently do these things day in and day out, success will get there. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take. It's a matter of time at that point. Like, did that play a role in what you've been able to accomplish as well?
1,000,000%. But here's the thing: the naysayers, because we didn't have social media back then, there was really, the naysayers were, hey, you're black, why are you playing volleyball? Hey, and it was both sides too, whites and blacks, right? So it was, oh, serve the black guy. Oh, the black guy's not that good. So I really wanted to just, like, there was a chip on my shoulder, to really, like, all right, serve me. You're going to see exactly what's going to happen. And yes, I'm 5'11". Once again, serve me. You're going to see what's going to happen. And then, things change quite a bit. But yeah, I think what it was just, the naysayers were just like, hey, are you in the right sport type thing, right? Shouldn't you be playing this? Shouldn't you be playing that? It was very, I'm talking the 80s, right? 80s and early 90s. I mean, things that people say things right to your face back then, right? Like, hey, you knew where you stood. You knew where you stood. When I went to California and I was playing beach volleyball, or Florida, I knew where I stood right away, in certain places. But that really never bothered me at all. I just use that as just whatever, and move on. But for me, it was always just the drive to be the best, the drive to seek and stay outside my comfort zone, the drive to do things that other people weren't doing. I had that from the beginning, because, like I said, when I saw my parents going to practice, you're in your 40s. What are you practicing for? Or don't you just play these sports just to play and have a good time? And they're like, no, we want to destroy everybody. And so we have to practice in order to destroy everybody, or like, we had a table tennis table. I remember this clearly. I was talking to my mom about this the other day. My parents were also awesome, like, just racket sports in general. But they put the table tennis table downstairs, and they would say, okay, you got to go downstairs and you got to practice your forehand, practice your backhand, your forehand, like 200 times, 300 times. It was just like, why am I doing this? I don't even play this sport. But it was just that repetitive. And I think they were just kind of instilling, like, in order to be the best at anything, you got to do things well, and in order to do that, you got to be repetitive, and you got to do things other people aren't going to do. And that's what I did. My jump training throughout the winter months, or the off season, I did jump training, because I just knew, like, once the season started, I wanted to be, one step ahead of everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I'm falling in love with your parents just to hear, the first 10 minutes of this conversation. What's the life of a professional volleyball player like? I mean, you hear professional athlete, like, we obviously we instantly go to, NBA, MLB, multi-millionaire, living in mansions. I mean, as a pro volleyball player traveling the world, playing in these tournaments, like, are you making enough to live? Are you working a side job on the side? Like, yeah, kind of what are you doing in addition to the volleyball at the time, or is it all in on volleyball?
Well, it was all in at first, but then, I realized, like, okay, there's not enough money in volleyball to be 100%. So, even one of my first tournaments when I was 21 years old, I came second, and I won enough money to buy myself a car, which was like, all right, this is 1991. I'm like, okay, I'm in the right spot. I'm doing the right thing here. This is good. But, life of a beach volleyball player in general was just a lot of travel, a lot of sleeping on floors. When I played on the AVP or some of these other tours, I just wanted to be part of the tour, right? So, I mean, I wasn't one of the top players on those tours. On our Canadian tour, I was. But on those tours, you're fighting like beasts, right? Karch Karai, Sinjin Smith, all of these legends. And so you're sleeping 4 or 5 people in a room. You may win a match in the tournament, but you're partying all the time. There's a lot of partying going, a lot of drinking, a lot of socializing. And it wasn't until I stopped doing that when I saw my biggest success, in the mid 90s, I guess it was mid 90s is when I saw my biggest success in beach volleyball. And that's when I really, sat back and said, all right, we gotta go all in. Didn't work, training twice a day, getting up 5 a.m., riding to the beach, going to the secluded area on the beach, setting up the net with a bunch of other guys, drilling, right? This is where practice came in. Before beach volleyball, you would just play, and that was your practice. But we were like, listen, if we want to win, if we want to be the best, if we want to, at that time too, beach volleyball became an Olympic sport. So a lot of guys were trying to get on the Olympic team. And our team, not my team, but Marquise and John Child got a bronze medal at the Atlanta Olympics, which really boosted beach volleyball in Canada. But yeah, it's just a lot of traveling. And like I said, when I decided that I want to like take it to the next level, it was all of those extra things that, I did in high school and in university. And now, I just translated over to beach volleyball.
Yeah, I love that. I love that repetitive aspect of, drilling these basics, these fundamentals in. We've had a handful of, elite armed forces. We've had some Navy SEALs on, some Rangers, and, one in particular, Johnny El Sasser, I remember him saying, it's like, like they drive home training so much in the military, because in those moments of crisis, in those, you're in the heat of battle, it's like you don't default to like your highest ability, you default to your highest level of training. Like, what have you hardwired, programmed in the most? So yeah, I mean, I talk about it on, when I was talking, muscle building, like the execution, like getting to the point where, eyes closed, like you can feel a muscle with 5 pounds working, contracting to its deepest level. And then once you have that ability, then you apply a little bit of load and resistance to it. But it starts with the basic fundamentals. It starts with the training. Absolutely love that.
You know what? I'm going to say something. My coach, when I was 14 years old, Mike Bugarski, my prayers are with you, my brother, rest in peace. He was my coach. And what he taught us, visualization and imagery. He taught us that when we were 14 years old. So basically what it was after practice, you got 14-year-old kids, right? Teenagers. After practice, okay, we're going to turn off the lights. We're going to all lie down on our back. We're going to breathe. And, at first we're just like, what is this foolishness we're doing here? Like, come on, we want to go home. I got school. I got things to do, man. I got to, but we would breathe.
I got girls out.
Exactly, man. I got the calls to make, man. I got some slow jams to be listening to. So he would say, envision, just pretend you're watching a movie screen. Envision yourself passing perfectly. Envision yourself, spiking the ball perfectly. Like, envision that over and over and over again. And after 2 or 3 or 4 times, it started to really come together, right? We were like, okay, this is working. It was our first tournament because on paper our team wasn't very good, but we did visualization before every match and we won every match. We destroyed everybody. It's like, how are we winning? I played middle. A middle player is usually 6'10", 6'8". I played middle in because I was left-handed, when I was 14, 15, in my in those years when I played club ball. But that visualization and that imagery I've taken that till today. I use that to today, right? And any sport I did, I would always use visualization before. If it was baseball, I would vision myself. If I got a hit, then I would remember to feel that. What was that feeling like when you hit that ball? And then take that and just think about that before. In business, I use it. In training, I use it, specifically in training. When I fought Muay Thai, I hadn't been fighting Muay Thai. So when I said I'm going to go at 40 years old and go to Thailand and first train and then go to Thailand and fight a pro fight, I had to visualize all the time. I was starting from ground zero, right? And so that I use that. What do I want? I would look at fighters that I wanted to emulate, and then I would image myself doing the same things they would do. And I think that helped me to speed up my technical skills, because that's what that does. That's what that does when you just, before meetings, sometimes if I have to present something, I've got a presentation coming up, I will envision what the feeling is going to be like 15 minutes after a successful presentation. How are you going to feel 15 minutes after? And then that's the feeling I take into the presentation. Man, I just, what he taught us was just incredible. We all talk about this today. All the guys who I used to play with, we still talk about how amazing that was for him to teach us that at such a young age.
I love that so much. I've been talking recently on, multiple shows about, a Little League coach that I had when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old. You didn't teach us visualization. I mean, that's next level stuff, but it goes back to here, when I asked you about, the parents, the influence, like, not the things that they were saying, just the things that they were doing. So, visualization. It's nothing more than simulation, and your brain can't, tell the difference between the two. Something that you're experiencing in the real world and something that you're just visualizing. And in order for you to achieve any level of success, you have to experience it, visually first. Love that so much. Do you have anything, maybe tips, advice for somebody that's out there and they're hearing this, like this visualization thing? Like, I don't even know where to start. So if a guy's hearing this for the first time, is there anything, tactic wise, practical tips that somebody could, begin applying in their life if they want to start using visualization to achieve success, whether it's in their fitness, whether it's in, their finances, relationship, like, you're out there, you want to find the dream world, envision yourself, approaching a woman, in a bookstore, in a library, yeah. So talk to, maybe some of the practical tips here.
All of that, visualize. There's so much out there right now. You could Google it, but definitely you can start applying it today. You know what? If you're listening to this right now and you work out, right? You train, you work out. You can start applying that in your workouts before you. Again, this is something I always did before you lift, before your next set. Sit, instead of being on your phone or instead of just sitting around looking around, close your eyes and envision yourself crushing that set, crushing the reps, feeling mind muscle connecting on those reps. I love that you said you can make 5 pounds feel like 100 pounds or 50 pounds. Well, you didn't say that, but that's what you were, insinuating specifically with the technique. One of the programs that I did, Max Muscle, was exactly that, specifically during COVID, because people didn't have a lot of dumbbells. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you guys first to think about what you're doing before and then really connect that mind muscle. But you can do that with your finances. You can do that with your, specifically for women as well. Yes, you're going to have to get, in order, if you're shy and you're afraid to approach women or just in general, just visualize yourself. Hey, it may go good, it may go bad. Who cares? It's the repetition of walking up to people and being open with people and just, and thinking about it first and then just okay, I'm going to try it. Like I'm the king of that. I honestly don't care. As long as I try something, as long as I stay outside my comfort zone, specifically if it's new, I'm doing it. I'm 100% doing it, right? Like you don't even have to ask me twice. It's like, oh yeah, you want to go? We went to Utah, Colorado, and my wife was like, hey, do you want to go horseback riding in the Red Canyons? Yep, 100%. Yeah, let's go. I'd only done it once before when I was a kid, and next thing you know, we're on horses. It's like, this is incredible. This is amazing. What? We didn't even think twice. It wasn't even like, yeah, my hips are going to be pretty tight, because my hips were tight. My groin, yeah, I don't know how that's going to feel. All of that stuff, but I didn't care. I'm like, yep, let's go, man. We'll do what it'll be an experience. But back to the visualization. Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this right now, you can use that in anything. I use that with my business. I use that, this year when I wanted to declare a few things, or when I launched, my supplements. Like, listen, I'm no supplement guy, so I just launched it like, hey, I want supplements that I want to sell to my brothers. So I'm going to learn. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to learn. Right. Like, that's just the type of mindset that if you fail, you're not failing, you're just learning and you're just moving on and you just continue on that journey. And, Google visualization, Google imagery, read a little bit about it and start implementing it for sure. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm telling you, it will be worth it. 1,000,000% it will be worth it.
Well, growth always comes out of the comfort or out of the discomfort. I mean, we understand that from a physical perspective. It's like, how do you change your body? Put it under some load, put it under some resistance, struggle a little bit, by reducing calories. But it's like, we don't apply that same, resistance approach. Like, I'm going to do things and there's going to be a little force pushing against me, but it's okay. Because if I push back and I stay consistent with it, I will succeed over time. Failure only happens when you completely give up trying. Love that so much. So let's kind of speed up here a little bit and kind of get into the business and the fitness side of things. So how do we go from traveling the world, professional soccer, volleyball player here? I know that there was some fighting that happened there in the middle, but today you're running multiple 7-figure online businesses. You got a supplement company, you have a community and a fellowship and brotherhood of men, 10,000 plus men, like, all transforming their life. So how do we go from high achiever volleyball player to the funk that we're seeing today?
Sure, yeah. So, after I retired at 30, so pretty young still. I just, it was corporate world, right? I had kids, had 9 to 5. And just like anything else, I wanted to be the best, right? I worked at Dell Computers. I wanted to be in management faster than anybody. So work hard, open and close. So all of that, all of those traits I just, did through my through the corporate world. But I was also dabbling in blog posting, and also, YouTube started to happen late, when I was probably was it late 90s, I guess? I don't even know.
I think YouTube was out till 2005,
Okay,
2006.
right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, seeing that I could post videos and workouts and blog at the same time, I was working, my corporate world, but then I would come home and I would shoot a video and I would blog about it, and I'd have a newsletter, just trying to get into that corporate world, get into the online space, because I saw the Vince Del Montes, I saw the Craig Ballantynes, I saw all these guys doing these things. I'm like, hey man, I want to do that. But, I had a 6-figure job that I was doing very well in. And, fast forward after doing this for years and years and years, I launched this thing called the Spartacus workout, which was based on the Spartacus Men's Health Spartacus thing, and it blew up. I had like 20,000 emails. Didn't make any money, but just had a lot of emails. And like I said, I had the 6-figure job, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I realized that I had to do this full time if I wanted this to work. It couldn't be working corporate and then come here home and try to do everything, and then juggle a life with my wife. So I literally walked into my president's office and said, "Hey man, I'm gonna leave. I'm done." And he's like, "Wow, okay." We said, "Well, you know what? That's a good idea, because we could see that your passion is for fitness." Because everyone at my work was on my newsletter, so then they would always ask, "Hey man, how do I get this? How do I do this? What should I eat?" So yeah, I didn't even tell my wife that I was quitting. I just literally came home and said, "Okay, I don't have a job anymore." So she's like, "You better get upstairs and start working hard." So I did start, learning a lot about the online business, and learning a lot about, how to navigate what, I just saw what other people were doing. I asked for help at the beginning, and just I'm passionate about it, so it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard work. If I was passionate about it, the money came, the programs came. But the one thing that happened was, I had been doing all of these programs and getting good launches, but you're always chasing the next program, right? You're always chasing. Okay, I gotta do this program. Okay, that's done. Okay, I gotta launch another program, and that just became too much for me. It burned me out, and I realized that. I needed a membership site, right? Some type of a membership site. So again, I launched a membership site, but it didn't go well. It literally failed. It started great, but then it failed because the way I was doing it wasn't the right way. It just wasn't the way that I wanted to do it. Like the forced continuity is just not how I want to work that way, because people are buying one thing and next thing you know, you're charging them something else, and that backfired on me big time. And I just went right into a spiral at that same at that same time. Now I'm 39, almost 40 years old. I was suffering from, well, let's start with, I couldn't build muscle. I couldn't lose belly fat, so had a belly fat. I was 215 pounds, big and puffy. My libido was gone, my sex drive was gone. The girlfriend that I was with at that time left me just because I wouldn't have sex with her. That's literally why she left me. I was depressed. I started to self-medicate. I started to do drugs. I started to drink. I started to go to strip joints, literally putting a mask on my face. I masked my manhood because I didn't have a manhood. So I masked it by going out and going to strip joints and doing drugs, and just went into a dark hole of addiction. And I didn't know what was going on with my body at that time, And when I went to the doctor said, "Okay, hey man, you got low testosterone. Your testosterone's 150 or 160." And I'm like, "That's impossible. I'm big. I'm 215 pounds. I'm jacked. How could that be?" And it was like, no. I'm looking at your belly right now. That's the number one indicator that you have too much estrogen in your body. So once I found that out, obviously wanted to put me on some testosterone replacement therapy, but I was definitely not having that, and I wanted to learn what I should be doing to naturally boost testosterone, and how men at my age, what should I be doing? And there was nothing out there. There still really isn't too much out there for men specifically over 40 or 35, what have you, but I had to dig, I had to look, I had to research, I asked doctors, I asked hormone specialists, and realized it was the way I was eating, the type of workouts. I moved to metabolic training. Actually, I was using kettlebells at that time, focusing more on recovery and sleep. And 6 months later, I was 185 pounds, lean, ripped at 40 years old. And that's where I kind of started to really go, oh man, this is what I can look like. Now I can do anything at 40. I felt great. I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like I was 20 again. So that's when I went to fight in Thailand and started really training fighters and getting into the funk MMA space. But as I got older, I realized that I can't do this forever, right? I can't do burpees in my 50s. Well, I can in my 50s, but 60s, 70s. Like, I gotta figure something out here. Around that time, so I started to create a program specifically for men over 40. I started to create that, slowly started to create that program. What did that look like? What did the nutrition, testosterone boosting nutrition plan? What does a workout plan look like? What is the sleep and recovery and all of the things that will help naturally boost testosterone? And at that time, I had come down with something called crypto organizing pneumonia. And what that is that's a lung disease, lung disorder. It's very rare, but I almost died. I literally was on my deathbed. The doctors literally said, hey, you know what? We don't know what you have. At this point, they didn't know what it was. We don't know what you have. You're not showing symptoms of anything that this could be, specifically, pneumonia or the regular pneumonia symptoms. But I couldn't breathe. Every single day, my breathing was getting worse and worse, to the point where I would get up, I would walk just 5 steps and have to I couldn't catch my breath. It was so scary. And so it got to the point where the doctor's like, you know what, you might as well just come to the hospital and die here, because really and truly, we don't know what it is, and it's better off you're here than you're at home. And so, luckily, I guess the next day I went in, the doctor said, I think I know what it is. I think it's called crypto organizing pneumonia. And they did surgery, and everything at that point was great. But now the recovery portion of it, right? How do we get inflammation down in the lungs? Well, you take prednisone, which is a catabolic steroid. It's the worst steroid. It makes you, it literally eats away at your muscle, because my body was getting eaten away from muscle, head bigger. It gives you female hormone like symptoms, and it was horrible. It was horrible, but I had to take it because that was saving my life. That was decreasing inflammation. So at that time, I decided, okay, listen, my testosterone levels are super low. They were like at 13 or 12 at that time, I guess, with what we were not 12 as nanograms per deciliter, but the other free testosterone was 12. And so I decided that I was going to use my program while I was recovering. I was going to try to do everything I could to naturally increase my testosterone levels, or at least keep them at par, so that I wouldn't suffer from the side effects of prednisone. And I wasn't suffering. The only thing I did was lose abs and literally lose my abs. Like, you can see they're flat, and then there's 4 abs underneath. It was so funny. But that whole time, 6 months later, I was off prednisone, which is something that's not generally it takes years to get off prednisone. 6 months I was off. 3 months later, I tripled my testosterone. And that was the day I said, okay, this works. I'm going to create a program specifically for men to help them boost testosterone, get into shape, boost their libido, and become the man they were supposed to be, to provide, procreate, and to protect. And that's really what my program is all about. And it was through my journey. It was through my journey that I created this. I realized that, hey, if I'm suffering from this, there's thousands and millions of men out there. And every day I would talk to someone, and they would talk about, what they were suffering from. And I would always go back to, oh yeah, I remember I suffered from that when I was 40, and I suffered again from that when I had crypto organizing pneumonia. And so, that's really what spawned this. And when I created this program this time, I wanted to do it different from my other site, where it was just trying to get people in, trying to get people to buy, and just always front end. I wanted to be coaching. I wanted to have support. I wanted to create a safe place for men to be able to talk about things that we generally don't talk about. No politics, no religion, just fitness, health, mindset, and the way to help each other become the best we can be for our families, for our communities, for our kids, for our grandchildren. And so my focus was 80% internal and 20% external, meaning, just here's an ad that's going to drive people in. But once they come in, I got to make sure that we support and do everything we can throughout their entire journey. And that's really what it is. And for me, it's great because it's less stress. I love hanging out with these guys. Every Sunday, 10 a.m., we're on a coaching call. Sometimes it's 2-3 hours coaching call, answering questions in their Facebook group. But watching these guys get results, watching these guys transform their lives. It's not just the body, because the body, of course, that's the byproduct of the hard work they're putting in, but it's lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, better relationship with their wives, with their kids, being able to run around with their kids, going back to school, like all of the more confidence, trying things they never tried before, standing up to bullies, like unbelievable things that happen. And testosterone naturally increasing because we get them to test their testosterone levels so that they can see, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing this program and my testosterone levels are naturally increasing. Okay, so this does work. The proof is in the pudding. And me just saying, oh yeah, your testosterone levels are going to increase, that means nothing. They have to see it. And for me, that's my calling. That's what I was put on this earth to do. And it's making my fitness journey much more fulfilling. Much more fulfilling. Like I do so much for these guys. I love these guys, and it's 10,000 strong. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love that. That is incredible, man. I mean, I think, anybody that, there's some online, entrepreneurs that are going to listen to this. For all of us that are out there trying to build a community. I told you I was talking with Dr. Anthony this morning. We're just talking about the value of, community. Like he's got an amazing thing over there with his work, obviously what you're doing. We've just now gotten to the point inside of our coaching program, like the first year, like as I was building the curriculum and really trying to understand, I entered a new space like 18 months ago. Like I was a fitness muscle building guy for a long, long time. Now I had this new calling on my life and it's like, okay, so I was keeping everything very close. Like I was going to work with people, but it was only in a one-on-one capacity. Just these last couple of months, we've rolled out some groups and it's like, the conversations that are going on behind the scenes without me even being involved in it, like that's where the transformation is taking place. Like I show up every Monday night to the group coaching call, and it's like, yeah, I was talking with Chris this past week, and we were doing this, and I was like, wait a minute, you guys are coaching each other. Like I don't even need to do anything. It's like I'm just adding more value. It's like the brotherhood is keeping each other accountable. So that's amazing, man. I mean, I just love how you even said here, it's like you had that internal moment where of clarity. It's like, if me being this former pro athlete, like understanding all this stuff from the exercise science and the training aspect, if I still had these issues, what about all the men out there that maybe don't have my background? And that's the exact reason why I stepped into the space that I did, because somebody that studied high performance, studied peak performance, personal development for 2 decades, and yet I was still struggling with compulsive addictions. And it's like, okay, if I was still going to be able to fall victim into that, what about all the people that don't have my background? What about all the people that haven't been in the circles and don't have my network and influence? It's like you said, like this has now been calling on my life, and it's like I now have a community of men that I can lead and serve, and I mean, I'm truly inspired by what you're doing. I'm so
happy that you opened it up to the community, because I know you said one-on-one, but the magic that I see inside is the fact that these guys from all parts of the world, all colors, all religion, they help each other. They tell each other they love each other. I love you, man. I love you. They come in and they're like, this is a place where if something's going on in their lives, because the goal for the program is to prepare these guys for craziness that goes on in their life, to prepare them, because as you get older, you become the patriarch, whether you want to be or not. It's gonna happen. You're gonna be, something, so and so died, Frank, Uncle Frank or Grandpa Frank. Like, what do we do? And if you're not mentally, physically, and emotional ready to handle this stuff that's gonna continue to happen, man, you're no good to your family. You're no good to the people around you, the community that they need you. So this program sets them up so that you can still stay healthy. You can still eat healthy, specifically during the times when your family needs you. But after that after that tragedy or whatever happens, doesn't have to be someone dying, could be whatever they're going through in their lives. They always come on and they're like, hey, I just wanted to I needed to get this out, so brothers, you can just listen, and I just need to get this out. And they'll share this big, huge post, and then underneath you get like 100 guys just, no problem. We're here for you. And the reason why I think it works in this way is because everyone starts in phase one. So everybody in the program starts at the exact same thing, and they go through the same journey. No one just comes in and starts at phase 15. They start at phase one. So even when someone comes in, brand new person comes in and there's someone who's on phase like 20. And that new person goes, yeah, that day one workout was so hard. Oh man. You don't see guys going, oh, suck it up. You see guys going, yes, I remember. It was very tough. Don't worry. Keep going. Keep going. You're in the right place. Listen to the funks or follow the program or follow the journey. And the cool thing is when other people have struggles, there's always someone in the brotherhood who's had that same struggle. And that can say, yeah, I struggled with that too, but this is what I did. And this is what the result is. So we're here for you. They've got like meetup brothers. We've got captains, we got ambassadors, we got everything. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. And I owe that a lot to the twins who I work with, who created this tribe brand. I always want to give them a shout out because, we work together to ensure that we have this community and tribe. And yes, you know what? This is harder to create than a normal membership site. Like it is harder because, like you said, you're putting thought and you're putting all of that information in. Like all my workouts are follow along workouts. I got 20, now I'm going to do 36 phases. But, it's like, it is a little bit harder, but once you get people in, they stay. Like I've got guys with tattoos. The over 40 brotherhood tattoos. Yes, it's like it's insane. It's insane. The belonging, the love that these guys have, and their lives that they're changing around them, too. Their kids. Some guys have kids that are struggling with addiction, and they're helping their kids out. It's unbelievable. I could go on forever because I love the brothers and the brotherhood, and it just shows that like when you do something that you love and you help other people, man, it's. My wife always says. Like, she says, look, because she sees the Facebook group, she's like, look at this, look at what you're doing right now. You're changing lives. And I still can't grasp that. I have a hard time grasping that, because I just do it for the love and love seeing these guys change their lives. They're the ones doing the work. I'm just giving them the template, but they're the ones that are putting in the work, right?
Yeah, we're so aligned with what we're doing. Obviously, we're attacking it, maybe from two different angles here. But everything from the podcast Superhuman Life to Rebuild Recovery. Yeah, we're serving a particular audience with our coaching, but it really is about equipping men with the tools, knowledge, and skill sets to step into that patriarch role. Like be the leader in your home, be the leader in your community, be the leader at work, be the leader in every single area that you go to. So I think we have a really unique opportunity here to push the men a little bit while educating them on, your zone of genius here with testosterone. So as we're talking to the men out there right now, like let's give them the push that they need to maybe start taking some of these steps. So for one, where does a guy really start with understanding his own testosterone? Like what is maybe the first baseline step that somebody can take if they're out there hearing this, like, okay, I get what Frank is saying. I'm not showing up, in my life how I need to. I'm feeling groggy. I'm not motivated. I got the little pooch in my belly. What are the first steps that a guy needs to take to understand his own testosterone? And then maybe we'll kind of take this, maybe a little kind of mini masterclass here the next 10, 15 minutes to kind of helping them optimize it from a natural perspective.
100%. So the first thing I'm going to say is the dad bod is not cool. Okay, the dad bod is actually killing you because you have too much estrogen, not enough testosterone. Testosterone is our number one male hormone. It makes us who we want. And unfortunately, testosterone gets a bad rep. Testosterone gets lumped in with aggressive men who are big and muscle building, but that's not what it is. It's our livelihood. And some people will say, oh, you got too much testosterone, keep it down. Don't listen to those people. Testosterone is what we need to stay alive. It's our muscle, it's our energy, it's our libido, it's our listen, suicide rates are the highest they've ever been in men in 35 to 50 years old to 60 years old because there's a lot of things going on, but testosterone has a lot to do with. There's a lot of studies that correlate that, right? And so we need to take control by first knowing where we are. go get your testosterone levels checked. You can use home kits, let's get checked or whatever. You go to your doctor, get a full, blood. And most doctors won't automatically give you a testosterone test. You have to ask for it, because I have guys who go and like, yeah, I went to get my physical, but I didn't get my testosterone. So yeah, you have to actually ask for it. And they'll even try to push back by saying, well, why do you want testosterone? Do you have problems in bed? Like, that's the first thing they say. And again, no disrespect to the doctors. A lot of them are just regular family doctors that have all kinds of other things going on. Testosterone's not their number one thing. So you just have to ask, I want my testosterone levels checked. I want that checked right now. So once you know where you're at, then there's certain steps that you can start to take. Number one, first and foremost, is sleep, right? You got to get that 7 to 9 hours sleep. That's something you can do right away. That's something you can literally start to address right away, whether it's changing your sleep environment, whether it's, taking some ingredients that'll help you sleep, whatever it is, focus on sleep, because testosterone gets produced in the morning. It gets produced during REM, rapid eye movement, our deepest sleep cycle. And so we want to make sure that we're getting good quality sleep. I say 7 to 9 hours, but even if you get 6 or 5, if that's quality sleep, you're going to be good. But that will make a huge difference, not only in testosterone, but also in belly fat too. Because again, low testosterone, that's where that belly fat comes in. That's where the estrogen comes in. We need a little bit of estrogen, but estrogen is a female hormone. So it's good for our sex, but too much estrogen gives us the man boobs, gives us the belly fat. It's not cool to have that dad bod. I keep saying that because the narrative is that it is cool to have the dad bod. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, cortisol, keeping stress levels down. I know we have a lot going on in our lives, okay? Specifically now, there's stress already in the back of our minds because we're still in a pandemic, and depending on where you live, it could be very stressful already. But we need to make sure that we don't have the chronic stress. We need to take heed of our stress. We need to write down what's stressing us out, and we need to address what's stressing us out. We got to keep the cortisol levels low. We do need cortisol in the mornings when we wake up, when we work out, during times where it's fight or flight, when we have to focus. We do need that, of course. Small bouts of cortisol, but it's the chronic, which most of us have, that causes belly fat storage, causes low testosterone. So we just need to manage that. And the best way to manage it is attacking what's stressing you out. Don't be afraid to attack it. It may take it longer. You may be very uncomfortable, which it usually will be uncomfortable to take on what's stressing you, but you've got to address it, or else it's going to sit in the back here. And the other thing about sleep too, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, let me ask you a question. Do you notice that by addressing sleep first and getting that taken care of, it's going to help probably alleviate a lot of the unmanaged stress in your life?
100%, 100%. Yeah. One of the things I tell people is that before you go to sleep, write down the 3 biggest things you have to do the next day. Write it down and then put a small plan together. It'll only take you 10 minutes. But I've been doing that for years. I write down, here's my little, my sheet here. I'll write down exactly what I have to do the next day, right? And then that's it. I don't have to think about it. I'm not even worrying about it because I already wrote down. I wrote it down, didn't think about it. You got to write it down on paper because that's going to show you what the action plan you have planned out. I have to pick up my daughter tomorrow. Then I have to go to hockey, right after. How am I going to do that? Well, if you don't write down the plan, okay, I'm going to pick up my daughter. I'm going to drop her off quickly. Then I'm going to tell her to blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to go to hockey. I'm going to pack my equipment I'm going to pack my equipment in my car so I don't forget. Like, you can plan that, and then you're not thinking about it when you're going to sleep. You're not thinking about the daughter and the hockey and the presentation you have. You already have that taken care of. And when you start doing that, you're going to see your stress levels slowly subsiding, and you're going to be more proactive at getting things done that you need to get done. So that's,
yeah, and I'm sure you can speak to this. Too. It's like if you got a presentation the next day, or you have to prepare a presentation, you got to do something creatively. It's like, write it down the night before to get it out of your head, so you're not thinking about, do I need to get this done? But then while you're sleeping, your subconscious is going to start working on that. So you're going to notice when you sit down to write the presentation, you sit down to write the sales copy, that it's going to start flowing out of you because you've been working on it unconsciously for like 7 to 9 hours while you were sleeping.
Incredible.
We talk so much about the importance of just writing down our thoughts. We have in our program, there's a daily reflection journaling. It's 5 to 7 minutes at the end of the day. Just get a blank piece of paper and just think about what you've been thinking about all day long. So it's out of the head, it's on paper, and in the act of taking it from thought to written word, like you're gonna learn some things about some of your thoughts as well. So huge proponent, man. Love that.
Too, man. This is my gratitude journal. This is my huge. I write down everything I'm happy and grateful for. And I mean, this is too much at some point. This is a lot, but when you start doing that too, you keep positive thoughts and you appreciate things that you do in your life. I appreciate all those people and things that I write down there. It started small. My gratitude journal started 5. I would write down 5 things, but now it's like 30 things because I'm happy for 30 things. I just write down what I'm happy for.
Yeah. So one of my sayings all the time is, when you learn to practice experiencing gratitude every single day in your life, you begin to notice more things to be grateful for in your everyday life. It's like you turn on the reticular activating system in your brain. I'm going to go start seeking and looking for things to be more grateful for. It's like, and it is so true. It's powerful. I mean, gratitude, I reshared this on Instagram yesterday from Neurohacker, one of the pages that I follow on IG. Like the simple act of practicing gratitude changes the molecular structure of your brain. So a lot of the work that I do is centered around, neuroscience and changing the chemistry of our brain. And it's one of the fundamental core principles in our program. Daily gratitude, whether you're struggling through an addiction, whether you're struggling through compulsive eating, you're struggling, with relationship issues. If you can begin to, in those moments, find things to be grateful for, you'll realize that you're going to find the solutions to work yourself through these problems. So
love it. And neuroscience is my background. So I love that you take that in there. I went to school for that. So that's awesome.
Did you?
Yes, I did. So now let's talk about nutrition. Okay, this is the biggest piece. This is the biggest piece. And it's the simplest piece. I have to make this piece so simple because I'm dealing with men 35, 40, 50, 60, 70. We're not chefs. We're not cooks. We're not, we've been fed a lot of different types of diets, but it's simple. It's, first of all, you need a starchy carb, a healthy starchy carb, complex carb. That's going to feed your thyroid, which is going to burn fat, plus some of the micronutrients in the carbs that you're going to be eating will help with testosterone, magnesium, boron, etc. Now, so you need a source every time you eat, 3 times a day. You need to look at your plate and go, okay, there's my source of starchy complex carb. Number 1. Number 2, cholesterol. So you need a healthy fat. Why? Because cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone production. So starts here in the hypothalamus, goes all the way down, luteinizing hormone, et cetera, all the way to the testes. Once we get to the testes goes, all right, where's my cortisol? Where is it? And if there's no cortisol from your healthy fats that you're taking in on a daily basis, then there's no testosterone production. You need a healthy source of healthy fats every time you eat. That's number 2. Number 3, protein. That's a no-brainer. We need a source of protein because our bodies don't naturally produce protein. So we need it from an outside source, but it's also the building blocks of our muscles or, the metabolic processes and our bones, et cetera, specifically as we get older. And then fruits or vegetables. Every single time. You need those micronutrients. It's actually the micronutrients that are more important than the macros. But the macros that you have, the starchy complex carb, right? I know that vegetables and fruits and starchy carbs are the same thing, but not today. Not in our testosterone diet. We split it up. We've got grains or, so healthy complex carbs, protein, cholesterol, and then fruits and vegetables. That's all. That's it. We don't count calories. We don't even care about calories. We just care about having those things on your plate because they're going to supply you with the foods with the micronutrients and the nutrients that you're going to need to help not only with testosterone, but help your thyroid so you can burn fat. They'll keep cortisol levels down, estrogen levels down. You also got to stay away from estrogenic foods like soy and beer and alcohol and a lot of those things. I always tell people to stay away from alcohol until you reach your goal because alcohol is very estrogenic, right? Milk, you want to stay away from milk. It's got a lot of prolactin in there. Prolactin will turn into estrogen, which you don't want, right? The estrogen kills testosterone. Processed foods, sugars, all of those things you want to stay away from until you get where you need to be. Then you can start introducing those things in. But generally, once you get to where you need to be, you're not going to want to introduce those things because the foods that you can eat are key. So for me, the first week you're in the program, we're talking about nutrition and we're just don't worry about counting calories. Don't worry about, weighing your food. Just have those things on your plate. That's it. And it's 3 times a day. That's it. Because the carbs are going to give you the energy you need. We don't need the 5 to 6 times a day anymore. That's old school thinking. But that's it. That's our testosterone diet right there. That's what's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as it can get for the male brain. Let's figure out. So is it like, because you said you don't really count calories? So are you using fist palm size portions?
Yeah,
Do you have like, how do you guys? I mean, because me, I'm 6'3", 240. You're 5'11", 180. Like, we're not going to require the same amount. So is there a guide in terms of how to dictate like what your portions need to be?
Sure. So there is a guide, but the first thing I want, because here's the thing, you want to be able to eat this way anywhere you go, any country you are. So if you are still focused on, I need this much, it's going to get too complicated. First, it's all about behavior. So you're going from a behavior that you were eating horrible. Okay, let's change the behavior. Let's just get you making sure that there's a source on the plate. Post it in Facebook. Believe me, everyone's going to go in and tell you, oh, you need a little bit more starchy carbs here, or you need a little bit more of this. You may say, hey, Funk, you know what? I'm having problems. I still have a sugar craving at night. Let's look at your plate. It's probably because you don't have enough carbs on your plate, because most guys don't want to eat the carbs because it's been villainized, but we need it. Funk, I don't have energy. Oh, that's because you probably don't have enough carbs on your plate. So right. So and it becomes very easy because everyone's different. Like, I eat like I'm 6'4", 250 pounds. Like, every one of my plates, there's barely any white around my plate. That's just because, that's just how I've been feeding my body. So it's like, as long as we get that behavior, and you'll start to feel better 100%, because you're only focusing on the foods that are going to help with your hormones and your metabolism and your health. And then you can start to play around with, oh, you know what, I could probably eat a little bit more of this, or, I could probably back up on the protein, like, it automatically happens. I don't know how, but it automatically happens.
Yeah, well, it's in that behavior change that the identity shifts, and it's a lot easier to change your identity than it is to develop a new habit. So once you understand that, and you become this person that eats this way, whether it's this big or this big, then you just start tweaking little things. But you got to establish that is who I am. I am this person that eats this way. Establish the identity, hardwire that behavior, and then you can begin to make the small tweaks and modifications. But if you go and start trying to tweak all these things, then you're like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. Let me do this for 30 days. Then I succeed. I lose the weight, but I didn't change who I was. I didn't establish new behaviors, new habits that I live by. So the minute I'm off of this, I'm immediately going to fall back right into those same old patterns of behavior.
100%. Over 40 alphas. That's how over 40 alphas eat. That's our identity shift. The guys in my program are over 40 alphas. Whether they're 30, whether they're 60, they're an over 40 alpha. That's the identity. And that's how we eat. That's how we sleep. That's how we, treat people with respect and love. So the next portion is the workouts. That's literally almost the last portion, because without all that other stuff, the workouts aren't going to work. You can't out-train a bad diet. If you're not getting enough sleep, it's not going to worry. If you got too much stress, you're not going to get any results. You're not going to build muscle. Your muscles aren't going to recover. So the workouts that we do, and it's 2 prongs. So the first prong is 4 metabolic total body workouts, 3 to 4 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday is a bonus, right? So, and they're metabolic. So, your metabolic resistance. So you're building, using dumbbells, all home workouts. We don't go in the gym. Well, actually people do go to the gym, but they just do the dumbbell workouts in the gym, body weight. You don't need deadlifts and squats and all that stuff when you're in your late 40s, 50s, 60s. There's no use to it. It's about being athletic. It's about being healthy. It's about, just being the best you can be. So we just use metabolic training. And then recovery is more important than anything. So we do mobility and yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that is key. So warm up before the workouts, stretch after the workouts, just so to keep the tightness down. So when you work out, but I don't want these guys to get injured. I've got 36 phases in my program. That's 3 years of workouts. The last thing I want is for them to get injured, because then my program doesn't work, because our guys are getting injured. So I have to make sure that we put recovery more important than anything. Now, when guys come in, generally they don't. They're just like, oh, I just want to work out. But then they start to get the aches. They start to get the knee pain. Why is my knee hurting when I'm doing lunges? Why? Because your hips are probably tight. Your hamstrings are tight. You don't have strong glutes. You're not activating the glutes. Let's do the recovery, learn how to get strong core and things that are going to help you sustainably Go 3 years. And now guys are going, 2 years plus, no problem. No problem. They're just loving the gains. They love how they feel because it's the recovery that's important. The workouts are there. You just press play and you work out with a funkster or me and my wife. You make fun of me. We train together. We struggle together. I just do follow along workouts. You're doing the same workout I'm doing. I'm struggling through the whole thing just like you are, my man. But I'm teaching. We're doing techniques and we're getting through a workout together. But as time goes, they're going to get better. They're going to get stronger. They're going to feel incredible. But you don't want to wake up with joint pain and back pain and tight hips and all of the things that happen when you don't take care of your mobility and yoga and like range of motion stuff. So that's a key element in the program. And that will help you stay healthy throughout, your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Oh, 100%. Recovery is something that I've really put at, the top of my, priority list here in these last, year and a half, 2 years for me personally, kind of in, my own fitness journey or whatever it is that I'm doing at this point. I'm no longer, chasing the 270 bodybuilder physique or whatnot, but at 30, I'm not 40. I'm not qualified to be in the over 40 alpha.
Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
At 38, I can definitely tell you at 38, my body, my joints, no injuries, feel better than I did at 28 or even 32. So yeah, and it's due to prioritizing sleep, making sure I get 7 to 8 hours minimum every single day, prioritizing early morning sunlight to get that cortisol hit, to make sure that I'm set up for melatonin drop 16 hours later. I have a daily, sauna practice. I have a sauna here at home. It's 30 minutes mandatory every single morning. I will skip other stuff in my day to make sure that I get my sauna in every single day. I have not missed a day in like 18 months.
Love
cold
it.
shower. But yeah, no, this is amazing, man.
I love it. Yep.
What about environmental stuff? Like, is there anything, in environmental that guys need to be paying attention to, whether it's in home, lighting, other chemicals, so forth and so forth?
Yeah, Zyto, estrogens, a lot of the household cleaners and that sort of thing. But you know what? That definitely you have to look out for. But if there's too much overload at one point, then it's very difficult to get the basics right. Like, yes, I can go into my shower and get rid of all of my shower, my body wash, and all that stuff because they have estrogenic stuff. And we do have to look out for that. We got to look out for pollution. All of those things do affect our testosterone big time, right? Big time. But let's do the things that we can immediately, control, and then you start to tweak, right? Oh, maybe I'm going to only have organic now. Now I'm just non-GMOs. Like, that's one of the things that we focus on, organic foods. And like, I don't want you to just go from 0 to 100 right away. Like, so let's baby step it through. Now that you've got the nutrition, now we're going to stop eating the grain-fed food and we're going to go organic, grass-fed. We're going to get the highest quality food because we need to fuel our body with the highest quality food because we're working out, we're recovery, we're testosterone based. Do we slowly get rid of some of the chemicals in your house? Maybe go a little bit more natural with some of the cleaning products and that sort of thing. Sure. We're wearing masks right now, so pollution's not a big deal in most places. But just looking out for those things as well.
I think you're giving the mask a little too much credit there. But let's not go down there because I know you don't like to get into that. But it's a progression. It's a progression model. Like, you don't go in, your first week in the gym and you throw 315 on the bar and you got the plates, you got the bands loaded to where you're getting variable resistance. It's like, no, learn how to do a body weight squat first where you don't come up on your toes and you're falling over. And then maybe you do a goblet squat. So you learn how to keep your core upright. Then you maybe put the bar on the back. Then over time, you can add some load and resistance to it. Then you get to the point where maybe you're getting halfway down and then you're pausing, or then maybe add some different levels of resistance. Same thing here. It's like, Vince, a mentor to both of us. He talks about, you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. It's like, if you don't have the nutrition, the sleep, the recovery, the workouts in tune, paying attention to the chemicals that you're washing your hair with, it's probably not going to have a dramatic shift and change on the outcome of your testosterone.
100%. It's a marathon here, right? Remember, this is the second part of your life, and you're going to live it better than your first one. You're like, in my 40s, I got married. My kid got my kids through college, started 2 businesses. Started working with the UFC, something that I would never have thought. Now I'm working with fighters in the UFC. Like I fought, got married. Like I said, got married. There's most of the greatest things in my life, aside from being a professional athlete and other things and having my kids, happened in my 40s. Like happened in my 40s, not in my 30s, not in my 40s was, and my 50s are starting to be even better. My 50s are taking it to the next level. I was never in magazines. During my 40s and when I was doing all this fitness stuff, I'm like, how come these magazines don't reach out to me? How come I'm not in Muscle Fitness? How come I'm not? Like, seriously, I would be like, how come? 50-year-old come in, I'm in all these magazines. I'm like, all right, well, I guess it wasn't like I mean, yeah, it was in magazines and it's a bucket list, but I'm 50, right? I'm 50. Like I'm in my 50s now, and this is great.
But I feel like we're not supposed to peak in our 20s. We're not supposed to peak in our 30s. It's like, because we have the ability to, really control this hormone that is dictating a lot of our health and our ability to kind of, show up and have energy. But also we got decades of knowledge and wisdom and experience now. So it's like you take a healthy, vibrant man that's got the energy and testosterone of a 20-year-old man, and then you pack inside of him 30 years of experience and traveling the world and working with some of the highest level athletes and performance and studying and research and all this thing. It's like, yeah, it makes sense now why you are at the top of the game and you're only getting started. And I feel the same way for me. It's like, as I said, I'm 38 now and I'm just in the first phase of building, what's going to be my third attempt at, building a company. But it's like, I failed twice now, so I know what not to do, but I also got 2 decades of experience and knowledge and wisdom. And, we're 100 episodes into this. I get a chance every single week to talk with some of the most amazing and brilliant people in the world. So yeah, dude, I'm just hearing that, man. I'm excited for, like I said, 39, 40 and well beyond. Like I'm not slowing down anytime soon. And with that, dude, I mean, you're creating holidays now too. So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about what's going to go down here in November 17th, 2021. It'll be the first official national testosterone day. So what was that process like? Where did the idea come from? And then how do you even get your own day? Like,
Crazy. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, I listened to, again, I'm big in MMA and UFC. I work with the UFC. So Ariel Helwani, I listen to Ariel Helwani throughout he's just a journalist who has a podcast. And every day he would say, oh, today is hamburger day. Today is take your kid to so-and-so day. Like there was all of these days that kept coming up and it would be like the ongoing, oh, do you know what today is? Strawberry shortcake day. So I started going on this thing called the national calendar, the national day calendar. And I started to look at all the days. And of course we have our men's health week, which is in June. We have Movember and men's health month, which is now in November. But I kept looking for testosterone. Where's hormone, testosterone? Nothing there. So the beginning of the year, I'm like, and just to let you guys know too, our testosterone levels naturally start to decrease 1% to 2% every year after the age of 30. That's why it's very, very important. Like naturally, our testosterone levels are already going to be low when you're in your mid 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, if you haven't addressed it. So that's number one reason why you need to address it, because your lifestyle probably accelerated that, right? The lifestyle that wasn't focused on testosterone probably accelerated the 1 to 2 to maybe 5 to 10% per year. So back to testosterone. Again, testosterone gets a negative connotation. Every time I'm on a coaching call, my guy's like, yeah, my daughter was at soccer practice and I went and I said, hey, who won the game? And the woman who was running it or whomever is like, no one wins this game. And he's like, what do you mean no one wins this game? This is soccer, man. There's a score. What was the score? Well, we don't you got too much testosterone. You need to that's an ongoing thing that I hear a lot from my guys, that it's just, a negative connotation or negative stigma, which it isn't. So my goal was say, listen, we need awareness of how important testosterone is for men. And it's not a negative thing. It's actually our lifeline. And so I said, I'm going to create a day to the National Testosterone Day. So I emailed the national calendar, emailed them every single day, every single week, I should say, not every day. Every week I emailed them, send the same email, copy, paste. Finally, they reached back out to me and like, yes, let's do this. And November 17th is the first Testosterone Awareness Day, a day where, my goal was just to get that awareness, specifically during this month when, it's prostate cancer and men's health. What a perfect time to add this in, because testosterone is a big thing. If you have a lot of testosterone and you're leading a healthy life, that prostate is going to be healthy. You know, a lot of other things that you may be suffering from, you're not going to, or at least you're going to have less chance of getting a lot of the, metabolic diseases and chronic illnesses and that sort of thing. When you're living a life that's focused on hormones, keeping your testosterone levels high and cortisol low and insulin at bay and estrogen low. So this is going to be the first day. It's just a day where I'd like most men to get their testosterone levels checked. Really, let's take step one, right? You don't need to go through all the 7 steps, even though they're all there. Let's get checked first and then see where you're at. And then once you're there, then there's information on that page to say what you can do to help naturally start to increase, or I'm always here to help. But it was something that at the beginning of the year, like I said, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do it. My wife's like, yeah, good luck with that one. Next thing you know, I'm like, honey, we have a national testosterone day right here, buddy. It's there. It's done.
It's amazing. And, you were telling the story about the UFC announcer, how he's like, National Donut Day and National, take your dog to Starbucks to get a pup cup day. And it's like, when Lewis reached out and he was like, hey, what do are you doing anything for National Testosterone Day? And I never heard of it. And my first response was like, no, we don't recognize fake holidays. And I didn't know you had anything to do with it at the time. But now that I'm understanding the story and all behind it, like, it's something I definitely want to be behind. So, you mentioned a site out there. Maybe there's a page where they can go get more information about it. Obviously, as you guys are hearing this episode, if you're hearing it when it first comes out, it's before the 17th. So, we air on the 15th. So you guys are catching the first day or two. Share this with the men in your life. Get this message out there. But where can people go to maybe learn more about the day in particular? And then what. If
they go to November 17th, go to National Today. Just go to nationaltoday.com and it'll be the first thing up there. It'll be part of the days that are there. That'll be it. The good thing about that calendar too, there are a lot of legit days. It's not all crazy. Like every day that has every city has a day, there's a lot of legit days. It's just, it gets, coupled in with other days. But National Today, go to that site and, do that first thing of getting your testosterone levels checked for sure.
Yeah, folks. So we'll get that page linked down there in the show notes, guys, or if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description box. But for anybody that maybe wants to learn more about you, what you're doing over there at the Over 40 Alpha Shred, they're going to get their test checked, and then what's the next step? Where can they learn more about you, your coaching, and then where you kind of hanging out online? Social, and you got a podcast, YouTube. So yeah, plug all that, and then we have one last question that we end every single episode with that we'll end the talk today with.
Sure. So just go to over40alpha.com, over 40, the number 40alpha.com. That's my program. It's joined for $1. The first 30 days, it's $1, man. It's going to be life changing. That 30 days is going to be life changing. And then, like I said, there's 36 months worth. We have weekly coaching. We have a Facebook group where, guys will ask questions and I answer those questions. Nutrition, workouts, everything you need that focuses on you being a healthy man over 40, 50, 60, 70. We've got 10,000 men from all over the world, all walks of life, who support and love each other. And, just to know that you can be in the best shape of your life. Also, you can get me on Instagram, Funk Roberts Fitness on Instagram and Funk Roberts on YouTube. You can see some of the workouts that we do inside the brotherhood, the style of workouts we do. But you don't have to be 40. You can be in your 30s. We got guys all in their 30s who are changing their lives. And
there's guys probably in their 20s that are having some of these test levels that could probably benefit from a lot of what you're saying. So guys, if you don't see the value in $1 to get one-to-one access and get behind the scenes of just the hour that we shared with you here today, if you need the $1, reach out to me and I'll send you the $1 to get you into the program. Because if today didn't do it for you, get the first 30 days in this program. Because like you said, there's a reason why 10,000 guys around the world are active in this community. Trust me, from somebody that knows hundreds, maybe thousands of fitness professionals online, there's very few communities that have 10,000 active members. So hats off to you, man. I think, as from one business owner to another, it shows that what you're doing is truly changing the world. And I can just see it and hear it in everything you said today, because it's coming from here. It's coming from the heart. It's not from the pocketbook. So hats off to you guys. Check out the Instagram, check out the YouTube, over40alpha.com. pay the $1, send me an invoice on PayPal, and I'll cover the first month for you. So brother, this has been amazing. I could talk to you forever. I might want you to have back on here. Maybe we can dive more into some of the neuroscience stuff. That's just, obviously a topic that I'm just highly fascinated with. So we do have one question that we end every single episode with. Funk, the title of the show is The Superhuman Life. We talked a little bit about it at the beginning and kind of dripped some things out here. This show and this mission and everything we're doing here is a result of my own transformation. But when I talk about living, for me, a superhuman life, it's more of a belief system really than anything, how I try to show up in the world every single day. And it is coming from the place that I do believe that we were all created for a very specific purpose. So there's a calling on my life, there's a calling on Funk, and you're clearly walking that calling out right now. But that's only half of the equation. The second part is, what are we willing to do? Are we willing to fully maximize our own God-given, gifts and abilities? When you combine those two, when you combine that you do have a purpose, there's a calling on your life, and you're doing everything within your power. When those two come together, that's what I think, or that's what I talk about when I say living a superhuman life. But I got to get the guest take. So Funk, as we bring it home here today, how would Funk Roberts define living a superhuman life?
Superhuman life for me is very simple. It's outside of your comfort zone. And I know about people say that all the time, but that's what it is. It's living outside your comfort zone so that you can be the best you can be. You can reach your potential and you can learn about what you're put on this earth to be, because you won't learn why you're on this earth sitting at home in your comfort zone, because that's where you shrink. You need to grow, and the growth happens outside. Growth happens when you take risks, when you take chances, when you're willing to fail and get back up and learn from those failures, and you continue to grow. When you always want to be better than you were before, 1% better every day, no matter where it is, in the gym, at home, finance, with your wife, with your relationships, at work, whatever it is. You need to stay outside that comfort zone. Do things that are super uncomfortable. And when you start doing that, you will grow, you will learn, and you will reach the point where you'll be like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I need to be doing. This is what I love. I don't love just sitting here every day doing the same thing, because then that leads to, idle hands, right? Idle hands. You don't want to be you don't want to go there. So you just want to continue to build, and building only happens when in the suck, right? Outside of that comfort zone where it sucks a lot of the time, but when you get to that the pinnacle, it's insane. It's amazing. And you just continue to build on that. So stay outside your comfort zone, 1% better every single day.
Love that so much. Guys out there, you heard it. Get out of your comfort zone, optimize those hormones, get those test levels checked, share this conversation with the men in your life, whether it's your older brother, whether it's your father. For the women out there, ladies, the men in your life need to know this information. So we're asking of you today, as we're celebrating National Testosterone Awareness Day on the 17th here, and really making this, one of the most important conversations that we can all have. All we ask, guys, is you share this conversation with at least one person. And if you're finding value out of these conversations, as we always ask you as well, leave us those 5-star ratings and written review. But get outside your comfort zone, optimize those hormones, become the men that you were created to be. For Funk Roberts, Frank Rich, we love you guys, and we'll see you next week.